Before we get right into this video, I just want to tell y'all about the book that I have, the most recent ebook that I released back in March called Stories to Read While Sailing the Deep Blue Sea. Link in the description box below. Pick up my latest ebook, Stories to Read While Sailing the Deep Blue Sea. Such a long title, but I'm gonna try to make this announcement short about it. So it's a book, it's a short story book, so that's why it's an ebook, but it's a short story book with just a collection of short stories. Three short stories that I written while I was in school, and I just thought, hey, let's make this book happen. So if you're a fan of short stories that range from the genre of drama, romance, and mystery, those are the three genres. If you are fans of that, then by all means check out the book. Or if you just want to support, or if you just want something to read, because reading is still important, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're watching the video right now. You might be listening to this ad on audio, but reading is still important. And you can start your reading journey by supporting me. Link in the description box below. Once again, stories to read while sailing the deep blue sea by yours truly. All right. So, this next topic here, I'm going to somewhat debunk the it builds character lie, right? Um, for those who don't know what it builds character is, it's a saying that the older generation uses. And what it pretty much means is it's describing situations that's supposed to make people emotionally tougher or even physically tougher. Pretty much, when you hear someone says that, whether they're from the older generation or not, when they say such and do this because it builds character, or you're going through this thing right now because and the benefit from it is it's going to build your character. It's going to build character. What they're saying is um this tough situation that you're going through, this anguish, whatever the case is that you're going through right now, is going to make you a stronger being. Now, all that sounds, again, stronger physically and emotionally. All of that sounds very nice. It does. And I'm not going to say that. And why I say it's kind of a lie is because I don't believe that everybody who says it um, is saying it out of malice, but I also don't believe that a saying like that is like a total like detrimental saying, right? But it just really depends on the situation, obviously, the content of the situation, and what is being at stake here when it comes to the hurt the individual is can experience or is experiencing um at the moment in time when they are supposedly building character, right? So these are two situations. I'm going to name a few actually, but the two big ones that come to mind um are situations that I feel were one of the situations is a real life story. Not gonna name the names, but it's someone that I actually watch and pay attention to on YouTube, and he admitted this in his video. You know, um, he mentions that this when his children, he's got grown children now, but when his children were growing up, he and his wife decided to, they lived in this neighborhood with, like other people, but nah, they lived in this neighborhood and their neighbors had children who are around the same age as their kids, right? So their kids played all the time, so um, it wasn't like anything new, as far as having these children play. But the neighbor's children ended up getting chicken pox, right? The guy that I watch on YouTube, him and his wife decided that the best thing to do for their child to protect them from chicken pox in the future or protect them from getting sick in the future was to set up a play date with their children and the children of their neighbors who had chicken pox. and set up this play date while those kids were still sick, right? All the parents agreed, by the way, that this will make the immune system, or just make it will build character, as the man in the video said, right? That they agreed that it is going to, the kids were going to get sick because they're playing with kids with chicken pox, and that it's going to build character because it's going to make them, stronger, in the future. I don't know if it's done anything. They're alive, thankfully, um, but they're not alive due to a vaccine against chickenpox, by the way, because the man in the video, and again, I watched this guy, so I kind of know his stance on vaccines as well, or at least I feel as though I can take a pretty good gander on what it is. Um, but he said that his children weren't vaccinated against the chickenpox. Anyone who is aware of the chickenpox, that it's something that when you get it as a kid, or if you get it as a kid, you are far more likely to. Now, there are deaths that still happen to children who've gotten it, but you're far more likely to survive it as a child, as opposed to when you are an adult and you get it. Um, as what they've been telling us for the longest, or at least that's the information that I was fed as a kid, and I'm still being fed now as an adult. I don't have chickenpox, by the way. I've never even gotten chickenpox ever. But with that being said, also, again, knock on wood, I'm still sitting on this wooden chair, by the way. If you don't hear that blowing in the background, I had the heat on in the last segment. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I don't have the heat on now, but if any point in time it's getting cold, the sweater that you see behind me, those who are watching the video, you see behind me, I'm busting it out and I'm getting my Bill Cosby on. Oh shit. That was pause. That was not meant to come out that way. I didn't mean someone's going to get put in popped. I mean, I'm putting on my Bill Cosby sweater. Relax. But no. I shouldn't joke like that, but I am. Anyways, what I'm saying here, back to the topic at hand, is in that situation, I was like, dude, that was, and he's the type of dude you can't, especially if you're younger than him, you're not going to tell him nothing. You're not going to tell him right from wrong. So, or at least I feel as though that there are certain people he will listen to, and certain people he won't listen to. Plus, he's already raised these kids. These kids are grown adults now. They're probably my age, or probably a bit older, or even a bit younger. I think his youngest is probably maybe like 10 years younger than me. But at the same time, these kids are grown, is what I'm saying here. And 10 years younger than me is exactly 22 years old. So these kids are grown. Nonetheless, whether it's 22, 23, or above, they're grown. So with that being said, he's going to be like, you're not going to tell me you don't even have kids. He's going to hit me with that, like everybody does. But you don't even have kids. So you can't tell me how to raise my kids. And plus, my kids are grown and they're healthy. And clearly, I did something right. And my argument is not to try to tell him or anybody to raise their kid. I just shared my opinion. I think that the whole excuse of, well, we sent our kids over there to play with sickly kids because we wanted to build character, I think it's a dumb excuse. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that, yeah, I am saying I would have done something differently. Had it been me, I wouldn't have been playing with them kids. I wouldn't have. I said, hey, I would have told my kids, listen, y'all can't play with them because they're sick right now, and until they get better, that's when you can go back and play with them. How about we play with these other kids? You can play with these other kids in the neighborhood who aren't sick. Because if you all were sick, I would not want to put other people's kids in danger to build character. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's like that's one of those situations where a saying like that, even though it does have positive intent to it, or can have some positive intent to it, that could be a very dangerous saying. Because God forbid something did actually happen to those kids, that they actually died. I wonder what type of man, or even if the man who makes the video, uh, on YouTube, would he even be making videos on YouTube now? How would that guilt weigh in on him? Would there even be guilt? These are just certain questions that come to mind, and I'm not saying that I wish these things on him or anybody else, but it's like you don't know what's going to happen, you know? Yeah, there are things that you can do to prevent, certain things from happening. But you don't know what he didn't know. Him and his wife didn't know that their kids were going to come out of getting chicken pox from their friends and then coming out and surviving from it, being unvaccinated children. Like he didn't know that. But at the same time, he still, took that risk. And again, I am glad that, they did not die because to me, I feel as though things would be far different for who he is as an individual now had his children died if he from getting chicken pox when they were younger. Um, but there are other ways of building character. There are other ways of strengthening your child's immune system, making them physically stronger, making them emotionally stronger. There are other ways of doing that. There are far less dangerous ways of doing these things than to put people that you love at danger or just putting people in danger in general. Another situation to where people will say things like it builds character is financial issues. Debt is something that a lot of people will, a lot of people who are financiers or just a lot of weirdos, people who are actually in debt are just morons. I'm gonna just put it that way, will tell you that it builds character. No, the fuck it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It does not make someone more, not everybody. There are some people, who are like they get into debt and they're like, I got to get the hell up out of here. I got to do better with my finances. That, what I'm saying? Like, and I am going to be smarter. I'm going to be all this other stuff. I never want to experience this thing ever again. So whatever I can do, whatever I can learn from this situation, I'm going to soak up as much information as possible and make sure that I'm never in a situation like that. Yes, that is a part of, you know, debt. And that is a part of a lesson people can learn from getting into debt. But you can also learn how to be smarter and wiser with your money without having to experience any type of debt ever. And my point is this whole idea of, again, it builds character. It's supposed to teach people these lessons that they can also learn in a much more safer route. Debt is deadly. A lot of the reasons why suicide is a thing is not because people are like, oh my God, people think I'm ugly. It's because I'm in fucking debt and I can't even afford to live right now. And I'm in all this other shit. And I think I'd just be better off dead, where I don't have to worry about this crippling debt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but it builds character. Like that does it. That's not making someone emotionally stronger. That's making someone emotionally weaker to the point to where they partake in things like drugs or alcohol that makes them physically weaker, and or just other things in general that they do to numb the pain, or at least, again, to harm themselves. How is that making somebody emotionally and physically stronger? But again, that is a saying that I've heard many of these gurus, financial gurus, have stated. Well, that is it builds character. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That is dangerous advice. I'm no financial advisor. I'm damn sure not someone that is a financial advisor. But I don't care if I get in trouble for saying this. If you're in debt, you should do you should want to get out. You should learn from it. Yes, you should learn from the situation, but you should want to get out of it. It's that simple. If you want to build character, if you want to make sure that if you want to see yourself as someone who is stronger, um, emotionally, or again, physically, emotionally, you want to see yourself get stronger. Climb your way out of debt. Climb your way out of debt. As someone who's in it, like you can see, like I know the feeling, the good feeling it is when you pay a piece of something or you pay something off or you pay, that feels good. And if you want to continue to experience that feeling again, you start to do the things that made it possible for you to even do that, make that payment in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Or you start to find other ways that feel more, it aligns more so with how you want to make that money. And you're able to pay these things down or get out of debt or make investments in certain avenues where you feel as though is the best bet for your money to grow, for that investment to grow. So you again can get out of debt and avoid getting debt in the future. But this whole idea again that is something to me, the first argument, or the not even the first argument, but the first comment I made in regards to building character. To me, the man and his wife made a smarter decision, and it's going to sound weird, but they made a smarter decision to possibly put their children at risk of getting sick and dying by having them play with kids with chicken pox. They made a smarter decision than a financial guru telling you that debt builds character and it's a good thing. That's a way smarter decision. If I had to compare the two, they both dumb decisions, in my opinion, of course. But if I had to choose, if someone was like, hey, okay, in this scenario, you have children and they have friends who have chicken pox, and there's a possibility that your children can die from getting it, or there's a possibility that they get it now and their immune systems become stronger because of it once they heal from it. Or you can tell your children once they start to make money that debt is good, it builds character, and they have to build up, and they should build up debt because it builds character. Which one are you telling your child? I'm going to tell my child to play with that sick child. And again, it sounds crazy because it is crazy, but I'm not going to tell my child to get into debt. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, debt is crippling. It is crazy. Debt is suicide. Like I said, debt is suicide. Like a number of the reasons as to why folks are out here offing themselves isn't because, a large reason of it. It's because of the crippling debt that they're in. They feel as though there's no way out. They feel as though that they're never going to get out of it. They feel as though they will be better off dead if they were not able, since they're not able to pay this. They might as well be dead. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to continue to live a life where they're waking up every single day and having to worry about the debt that they have. To me, that is far more dangerous than somebody getting exposed to a sickness or to a illness or flu or whatever the case is, whatever, however you categorize chickenpox other than a sickness, right? um I'm no doctor, just like I'm no financial advisor, just like I'm not a parent. But to me, it's just like, as someone with common damn sense, I feel as though that there are just certain decisions that, although are fucking ridiculous, a lot more safer than other decisions. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. You know, um, that was one thing. One on a lesser note, as far as it builds character, I've heard people make that argument about going through heartbreak. Now, why I consider that a lesser note compared to the first two examples that I gave, it's because everybody's going to experience heartache. Everybody, whether you purpose, and to me, no one can purposely. Yeah, there are certain things you can do that fuck up your relationship, and now you're heartbroken, but it was actually your fault. Like, let's just say you cheated, and the person you was with decided to break up with you, but you didn't want to break up with that individual. Well, motherfucker, you cheated. You shouldn't have cheated. Had you not cheated, this individual would probably still be with you. So yeah, your heart is broken simply because you did something and they broke up with you because of that. You disrespected them and they said, hey, I'm not going to deal with the disrespect. I'm not going to be in this relationship. So I'm out. So heartbreak does happen, whether it's a situation to where you are the reason as to why your heart is broken, or it's a part of life. But it does build character depending on the individual. And then a lot of these examples that I gave you builds character no matter who. No matter, well, it builds character depending on the situation. So when I say it's a lie, but I don't want to say it's a lie in its totality. It depends on the individual. Like I said, with the chicken pox situation, yeah, thank God that those kids are stronger and physically stronger, like they're healthy kids now. They're adults, but they're kids to somebody else. But you know, uh, they're healthy adults now, and they didn't die from chicken pox. That's a plus there. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm pretty sure it probably did some things to their immune system to where the next time, every time they're sick, I'm not saying that they're untouchable, but the next time that they're sick, their body is like, I remember when I remember this fight before. I've been through this fight. Let's duke it out. You know what I'm saying? So it might have done wonders for their immune system because of what they went through when they were like what 5, 6 years old, however young they were when they got the chicken pox, right? Situations when you have people who are in debt, you have people who again become wiser emotionally because of the debt that they're in. They say, I don't like this feeling of being in debt. I don't want to be in debt. And not only do they become emotionally stronger, but they become wiser with their money. Again, they look for ways to invest in that and in the little bit of money that I do have, but they find ways and making more money, or they find ways to invest so they can make more money. They find ways, they start budgeting in ways to avoid getting into debt. They start to do these things. And again, this is a character building thing that can happen to someone who falls into debt. But certainly that is not everybody. And with someone who gets their heart broken, there are individuals who say, you know what, if you got your heart broken because of, again, one of the examples I gave, you're a cheater. You might end up being someone that's like, listen, you might go around telling people, hey, don't be going around cheating on a good thing. Don't go around cheating and hurting people and doing that, because you're gonna lose out on someone that's a good thing. Because I did this thing and I lost the love of my life. And I was really heartbroken when I lost the love of my life because of my cheating. They might become that individual. It might be an individual who didn't cheat and they got their heart broken. They're like, you know what? What I learned from it was I have to place my own self-worth on how I personally feel about myself, and not necessarily on how someone else feels about me, or just, my self-worth on relationships in general. They might come out that way. But we all seen the opposite of what happens. You might have someone who finds out, a child who finds out that their parent put them through something as a kid, and they find out later on in life, not just why either as a teenager or as a young adult or an old young adult, but nonetheless, as a teenager or an adult, they find out later on that their parents put them through something to make them stronger, right? To give them character, and now they're emotionally damaged. They're like, how could you? You're supposed to protect me. And how could you do this? And now they develop some type of emotional issues, not just with their parents, but any type of emotional attachments they have with other people in general, that might be damaged because of that. As I stated with the whole debt situation, you have people who clearly become so emotionally damaged to the point where they're killing themselves. That is not building character. That is not making somebody stronger. Somebody who is suicidal, someone who decides to take their own life, is not someone. And when I say they're weak, I don't mean weak and, oh, that's weak, bro. You're just weak. I mean weak in the sense that that is not someone who is mentally And someone being mentally weak is not a flaw on them when it comes to something as serious as that. To expect everybody to be in such crazy dire situations and to always be mentally and emotionally strong is crazy in itself. To even think that's always going to be the case. That's definitely not the case with me. It's definitely, I don't care what kind of perception you may get, or what you might think, by simply just listening to me and all this stuff. But it's definitely not me all the time. You know, I'm someone who learns your and stuff and likes to say, okay, I'm in this situation now and I want to get better. And these are things that I am willing to do to try to get myself out of this situation. You know what I'm saying? Someone's gonna say, oh yeah, that made you stronger then. I could have learned this lesson in other ways. In fact, I would have preferred to have learned this lesson any other way. People can go around and I don't have regrets, motherfucker. Yes, I do. I ain't going front. Yeah, I regret getting into debt. Yeah, I regret getting into certain situations that I could have learned this lesson another way. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I regret all of that, but there's no point and there's no sense in wallowing in regret. Here's the thing. That's my thing. It's like I don't think it's wrong to regret, but it's wrong to wallow in it because it's not going to change anything. You know what I'm saying? I can say I regret making this decision, that decision, this decision, that decision. But to wallow in all of that, it's not going to change my circumstances now. What's going to change my circumstances now is learning from it all. Learning from it all and finding ways to make sure that I not only avoid getting into a situation like that again, or if it were to happen, finding ways that are effective to make sure that I am out of a situation like that. Simple as that. I can still within the same breath say, yeah, I regret making this decision, but I also want to get better. You know what I'm saying? And I know there are other ways that I could have learned this same lesson without getting into without falling into the trap that I fell into, or making the decision that I made. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just what it is with this whole character building thing. To me, there's always another way. There's always a better way to a lot of these character building situations. Now, again, when it comes to, you're working hard at something, right? You fail a class, you fail a class, you fail a test. And these are other examples I've heard people say it builds character. The other way around it is, yeah, you just have to get better. You try to make a sports team, right? And you didn't make it, or a dance squad, or whatever the case, and you didn't make tryouts, right? You're an actor and you try to go for an audition and you didn't get it. These are situations again that can build character depending on the emotional and mental state of the individual. These are things that definitely can build character for sure, depending on the individual. But at the same time, when it comes to those situations like failure, that's what I'm going to call it, categorize it as. When it comes to things like failure, the only other way of going about it is making sure you become a better person by upping your game. Again, if you're an athlete, making sure that you're putting those extra reps in, upping your game. If you're an actor, trying to find other ways to improve your acting. You know, dancers, same thing. Try to find ways to improve your dancing, whatever the case is. When it comes to failure, when it comes to a situation, when it comes to failure, and you are trying to build character, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense why someone will make, you know, that type of comparison. But let's just say you're at a job, um, and there's an easier way to do a task. But the way that you're being told to do it is the character building way. Although this other way not only is more efficient as opposed to um you doing the task, but it's also the safer route, safer emotionally, mentally, physically, right? I'm going to tell you to choose that safer route. That's just me. My advice is for you to choose the safer route, whatever that safer route means to you. Choose that, because putting yourself in any type of danger to me is not intelligent. Financial Putting yourself in financial danger simply just to do so because that's what everybody does, or that's what some fucking dumbass guru who is telling you, selling you some bullshit, told you to do. That's not sound. You find yourself around people who are sick with whatever they are sick with, if it's contagious, and you go around them because you're like, well, if I get it now, I have a better chance at fighting it, or you can fucking take care of yourself. Avoid that and not get sick in the first place. Again, the safer route. You can learn from what they went through without having to actually go through it. Because there's a chance that you don't even come back from it like they did. There's a chance they might not even make it through. They might be living now, going through whatever they're going through, but they're just, and when I say living, I just mean alive. I don't mean living like they're living it up. No, they just might be alive now. They might not even go through whatever they're going through, get past the hump. They might even get past. They might be up the hill. You know what I'm saying? The hump is here. They might be up the hill and they drop. And you think that having to go through the very thing that they're going through right now is somehow the wiser decision. If that's how you get down, that's how you get down. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to ever want to tell people what to do. I'm just saying what I feel is the most is the wisest decision and what isn't the wisest decision. And to me, if you were to ask me, and you don't have to ask me because you tuning into this video and you listening to this audio, so you're going to get my decision making, my opinion on it. I'm choosing the safer route. The safer route meaning what I feel is what I can do. That's going to not put me in a situation that is too dangerous, or nothing that I feel as though I won't get out of or I can't get out of. Yes, have I made the opposite decisions before? Yeah. How the fuck you think I landed in debt? How you think I'm in debt right now? Choosing the safer route? No. But with that being said, it's like uh, the me that I know now, me now. If I were to go back to the give myself advice, because all this shit happened, all this crippling deck started happening, and it's not even like crippling, but it is annoying as a bitch. But it started in 2020, pandemic. But the me now in 2023, damn near 2024, if I can go back to the me then, oh yeah, I'm telling myself some shit. I'm probably the me back then is probably gonna be cracking jokes and cursing me out for my locks being shorter, a lot shorter than they were 3 years ago. But you know, aside from me roasting myself, once I take the lashings from my old self, the roasting session from my old self, once I get that out the way, I would advise myself not to make the decisions that I did make, you know, back in 2020. You know, when I made those decisions, 2020, 2021 ish and all that other shit. Those bad financial decisions or those bad decisions of whatever the hell happened. I will tell myself, hey, listen, avoid this, avoid that, don't do this, don't do that, because this is going to happen. You're looking at yourself from the future, 3 years from the future, damn near 4 years from the future. You're still alive, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're going through some stuff, you know? And you want to avoid this stuff, and I want you to avoid this stuff. So do this and don't do that. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And whatever this is, I ain't gonna name all the personal shit, but this is mainly going to be the safer route of whatever the option of the opposing option that I chose. That's just me again. We will get into another break, and then we'll get into the last topic. Stay tuned.